All right, let's dig in. Today we're tackling a topic that I think speaks to all of us, American comfort food. And I was already getting hungry just reading the title of the piece you sent over, exploring the best American comfort foods.
It's funny, when you think about comfort food, it really is more than just, well, filling your stomach.
For sure. But before we get lost in all the deliciousness, maybe we should start by, defining what exactly makes food comfort food, right? What sets it apart?
The good point, you hit the nail on the head. Like, you wouldn't really think of something like, say, escargot as comfort food, even if it was, like, the best escargot ever.
Yeah, not exactly what comes to mind.
And this article really gets at that. It points to this idea of sentimental value being a core part of it. Like, comfort food is all about the dishes that are connected to good memories. Like Sunday dinner at your grandma's when you were a kid, or a special holiday meal. It's food that just, well, makes you feel good and kind of brings you back to those familiar, cozy feelings.
It's like when you take a bite of a warm chocolate chip cookie and you're instantly transported back to your childhood.
Exactly. That's the feeling. And speaking of childhood, let's dive into some of those classic all-American comfort foods. I mean, this article has a list that reads like a Hall of Famer. Mac and cheese, fried chicken, meatloaf.
Don't forget chicken and dumplings. Oh, and of course, we can't leave out the king of them all, apple pie. Each one, so simple, but with this incredible power to bring back memories.
And each dish has such a fascinating story behind it, too. Take mac and cheese, for example. I mean, we often see it as kids' food, but, its roots actually go way back, all the way to Europe.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder, did those early immigrants use it as a way to hold on to their food traditions when they came to America? Or maybe it was just like a super affordable meal that people relied on during tougher times.
Yeah, those are great points. It makes you think about how mac and cheese has really evolved here in America. I mean, look at us now. We've got everything from lobster mac and cheese and fancy restaurants to like bacon-infused variations. It's really come a long way.
It really has. And then there's fried chicken, that crispy, juicy perfection that just screams Southern cooking.
Mm.
And, it's interesting the way they get it so crispy and juicy is like a real art form, with different techniques and regional variations. Did you know that its history goes all the way back to, well, it's kind of a mix of Scottish and West African cooking traditions.
Wow, I didn't realize that. It's amazing how so much history and culture can be packed into one dish. And meatloaf, well, that's another great example, a classic that came about during the Depression era, a real testament to American resourcefulness.
Absolutely. It's really cool how something that started out of necessity, making the most of limited ingredients, turned into this beloved classic. And it's funny how every family seems to have their own unique meatloaf recipe passed down through generations.
It's like a culinary heirloom. And speaking of heartwarming dishes, how can we forget chicken and dumplings? I mean, it just embodies that cozy feeling of home-cooked goodness, perfect for a cold winter night.
The ultimate comfort food hug. And then we have apple pie, you know, practically synonymous with Americana. It's fascinating because even though it originated in Europe, it's truly become a symbol of American holidays and traditions.
Yeah, it's so interesting how certain dishes kind of transcend their origins and become deeply embedded in a culture. But, it's not just about these iconic dishes. American comfort food is, well, it's really diverse when you look at different regions, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, just think about New England. You've got
Yeah.
clam chowder and lobster rolls up there, a cuisine that's, well, it's clearly shaped by their coastal history, that connection to the sea.
Then you head down south and you're greeted with biscuits and gravy, cornbread, grits. Talk about a feast of flavors.
And it's not just about the ingredients. It's about, like, what those dishes represent, Like, why is New England so into seafood? Well, their history is all about the ocean, so clam chowder becomes more than just a soup, right? It's a connection to their identity.
It's like a culinary time capsule. You take a bite and you're basically tasting, I don't know, generations of history.
Yeah.
And that kind of leads us to what this article talks about, the deeper meaning of comfort food and how it preserves tradition. It's like a tangible link to our past.
And it goes beyond just, like, individual memories, too,
Yeah.
Comfort food really has this way of bringing people together. Like, think about those big family get-togethers for holidays, or even just a regular weeknight dinner. Those meals become a shared experience. It's something we can all relate to, no matter what our background is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that feeling of togetherness, like you belong. And it reminds me of something else the article brought up about how comfort food plays this really interesting role when things are uncertain or tough. Like when you're feeling down or stressed out, wouldn't you say a warm bowl of your favorite soup or a slice of homemade pie can be like incredibly comforting?
Absolutely. It's almost like a culinary security blanket,
Yeah.
bringing back those feelings of warmth and stability. Like it reminds you of those simpler times when things felt safe and predictable.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's what really makes comfort food so powerful. It's not just about the taste, it's about all those emotions it brings up.
Yeah.
It's about those deep connections to family, tradition, and, well, a shared cultural heritage.
And, speaking of cultural heritage, it's amazing to me how American comfort food, even though it's so diverse, still manages to create this sense of unity.
Mm.
You know, we might all have different backgrounds and regional favorites, but there are those certain dishes that just, well, they resonate with almost everyone across the country.
It's like we have this culinary common ground, right? Like sure, some folks might be all about that New England clam chowder, while others swear by their southern fried chicken. But I think we can all agree that a warm slice of apple pie on a chilly day is, well, pure bliss.
You got that right.
Oh.
And it's more than just agreeing on what tastes good. It's those rituals and traditions that surround these dishes. You know what I mean? Like the whole family gathered around the table for Sunday dinner or baking cookies with your grandma during the holidays.
It's true. Those shared experiences, they create memories that become so intertwined with the food itself. Almost like a sensory time capsule, you know?
Exactly. It's like the taste of your grandma's chocolate chip cookies isn't just about the sugar and chocolate, right? It's about the love and warmth she put into making them. A feeling that gets passed down through the generations. It becomes part of a family's, I don't know, culinary legacy.
It really does. You know, this whole deep dive has been eye-opening for me. It's really made me think about the impact food has on our lives in ways we don't always realize. It connects us to our past, our present, and even, I'd say, our future.
That's so true. And sometimes, it's easy to take those simple pleasures for granted. A warm bowl of soup, a slice of homemade pie. Those everyday dishes that bring us so much comfort and joy.
This conversation has been a real treat, both intellectually and, well, let's just say my stomach is definitely starting to rumble.
I too. I know, right? But before we give in to those cravings, maybe we should take a moment to just appreciate the cultural significance of American comfort food.
You know, it really is something special, isn't it? A testament to, well, the country's melting pot of cultures, the resourcefulness of its people, and the power of food to bring us together.
And it's a good reminder that even in this crazy, fast-paced world we live in, there's always a place for those simple pleasures of comfort food. Those dishes that ground us, nourish us, and, well, connect us to something bigger than ourselves.
I couldn't agree more. Okay, confession time. I'm suddenly craving some mac and cheese. What about you?
Oh man, now I'm really craving it. All this talk about mac and cheese. And you know what? A big plate of crispy fried chicken sounds pretty amazing right about now, too.
Now you're talking. With maybe a side of those fancy mac and cheese variations we were discussing earlier.
You read my mind. And we can't forget about that apple pie for dessert. This deep dive has really been a journey, huh? I mean, we enjoy these dishes all the time, but I don't think we often stop and consider, all the history and culture and emotions that are tied to them.
It's true. We kind of take them for granted. It's been fascinating to really peel back the layers and uncover all these hidden meanings and stories, you know? It's like discovering a whole new world within something so familiar.
Right. And it just reinforces the idea that comfort food, well, it's so much more than just fuel, right? It's a story, a memory, a connection to something much bigger.
It really is. It reminds us of who we are, where we come from, what really matters. Well said. So as we wrap up this delicious deep dive, I want to leave you with something to ponder. We've explored the iconic dishes, the regional differences, all the deeper meanings behind comfort food. But what about your own personal comfort food journey? What are those dishes that bring up the strongest feelings of nostalgia, of well-being for you?
What are those tastes that instantly transport you back?
Mm-hmm.
To a special memory, a feeling. What flavors feel like a warm hug on a cold day? I think if you take some time to really think about your own comfort food story, you'll be surprised by what you learn about yourself and your own connection to food.
And hey, maybe even try recreating one of those special dishes tonight. Sounds like the perfect way to end this heartwarming exploration of American comfort food. Thanks for joining us on this culinary adventure. Until next time, happy eating.